hillsides, what I got. And here's the curveball you just from. We thought, oh, 7 candidates take a long time.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I have time to go over these.
So tell me,
No, see, so what did you?
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to a special meeting, Meet the Candidates. And this meeting is to provide primarily to our corporate members, Third, United, and the Towers, input into their decision later on. In fact, on November 12th, they are going to decide 3 positions that are open right now. Who is going to sit in those? And the candidates for those positions are supposed to be here, and I hope most of them are. And what we're going to do today is have a question and answer session, and they're also going to have opening and closing statements so that the corporate members primarily get a sense of who they are. Now, some of these people, to be honest, are sitting board members, so it's tough for people that aren't, but we're going to be fair here. We're going to be fair. Everybody deserves a shot, and so listen to what they say, but especially you corporate board members, listen to what they say. Now, that being said, there was one position which we'll talk about briefly. There were 4 positions open. We're asking people to get information about 3 of them. One of them has been filled already, and we'll mention that later. You're going to cover it. So with that, I'd like to acknowledge any media that happens to be in the audience. Do we have any Village Television or board members? If there are, great, thank you. Now, what I'd also like to say before we start is that this is not just open to people in this room. In fact, there's a Zoom link, and the Zoom link is, this is lowercase US 06 web, web.zoom.us/ what appears to be a J / 98131257242. Fine. If that doesn't work, we have a telephone number for you, 1-669-900-6833. So with that, before I turn it over to the introductions, Egon, do you have anything to say initially?
Yeah, well, welcome. We'll acknowledge the press, and we're recording, so Village TV can see it, board members, honored guests. I want to announce that Yvonne Horton has been selected by Third Mutual to be their delegate to the GRF board, so she will be on the board. And I think at this point, Andy will introduce our sitting candidates. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gon. Before we proceed to that, there is an order to this thing. Both Egon and I, as moderators, have the privilege of being first and asking some questions, and we have some questions. In addition to that, we've asked our corporate members to give us some input, and they have. We have a couple questions from the corporate people. Beyond that, we have a mechanism where people in the audience here can ask questions. There's a card that you would fill out and you would give to Michaela, corporate secretary. Beyond that, I gave you the Zoom link. So we'll take questions in a certain order, but we're open to questions from anybody. But remember, the purpose of this meeting is to give a comfort level to the corporate members who ultimately on November 12th have to make a decision on 3 slots. All right, with that, let's get started. All right, we are fortunate to have 7 candidates running for 3 slots. And we'll introduce them in alpha order. First one is Ellison Bach. Second one is Nancy Carlson. Third one is Jean Costello. Now, Jean is a sitting board member on the United Board. Jean's on vacation, but she has supplied us with an opening and closing statement. So the corporate members have to figure out some other way to find out what Jean's about if they don't already know. Fourth person is Richard Hall. Do I see Richard Hall? I haven't met Richard. I guess he's not here. And do we have an opening or closing statement from Richard? We don't. Okay. Mystery man, mystery man. Next one is John Kelsall. And next person is Manohar Motwani. There's Manohar. Finally, last but not least, Carmen Pasella. All right. Okay, let's go to the opening statements, and I'm told this is done by a drawing that was occurred. Michaela, who's first?
So what you guys can do is start with Mr. Kelsall, have them each
Work
go
this
down the
way.
line, and
Okay.
yeah, and then rotate.
All right, John.
Good morning. My name is John Kelsall, and I'm honored to be running for a position on the GRF board. My wife and I absolutely love this community, and it is our forever home, and we wish it the best. The reason I would like to serve on the GRF Board of Directors is because we have been residents of Laguna Woods for 13 years, and I would like to give back to this wonderful community. My goals for the future are to preserve and maintain the outstanding qualities and amenities inherent in this village. Laguna Woods Village is one of the top 10 best retirement communities in California and one of the top 5 safest cities in the state. One reason my wife and I chose to move here 13 years ago. I would like to help maintain those wonderful statistics. My driving principle for all decisions is what is best for GRF and Laguna Woods. I propose to roll in as the new guy on the block and bring fresh blood to the board. As a user of a wheelchair, I have a unique understanding of accessibility needs, which is absolutely important in a community that serves individuals ages 55 and older. I am committed to ensuring our neighborhood is both welcoming and accessible to everyone. I bring 51 years of experience in both owning my own business, working in the corporate world, and serving on various nonprofit boards. This diverse background has equipped me with a well-rounded perspective and the skills needed to make a positive impact. I believe that my blend of experience, passion for this community, and commitment to accessibility makes me a strong candidate for the board. I would be honored to serve and work alongside all of you to make our community even better. Again, my name is John Kelsall. I would appreciate your vote. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, Nancy?
Well done, John.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, everybody. These are the auditions for America's Got Talent, right? I've been a United Mutual member and full-time resident for over 13 years. My community's welfare and interest runs deep. In 2023, United Mutual members elected me to that board where I served on multiple United and multiple GRF committees. July 2025, GRF appointed me an advisor to that board after I left United. I attend many GRF committee and board meetings, thus I am familiar with its current agenda and issues. My governing experience includes understanding committee and board meeting rules, etiquette, the committee work and recommendation process, including the professional relationships with staff. My village government experience included chairing United member hearings, its revenue committee, maintenance and construction, governing documents, preparing and hosting special topic town halls for our residents, and articles for the Village Breeze. My GRF committee experience has included maintenance and construction, building E, space planning, transportation, security, community, and gate access. Myself and a third director were GRF tasked to study village campus space use. The upshot resulted in our positive report of vacant, underused, and space use opportunities. As well, I studied approximately 13 years of architect and engineering reports that led to a recommendation, committee action, resulting in a defining study that's presently before the GRF board. Importantly, these roles provided me access and opportunity to meet and work with residents, staff, department heads, and other mutual directors. By listening, researching, investigating, collaborating, we were able to identify and hone issues for decision makers. I have over 50 years of professional experience in leadership, executive management, and consultancy for both for-profit and nonprofit corporations, professional associations, including as a county supervisor. My education in business, architecture, design, and law equipped me with skills regarding business, planning, budgeting, operations, contracting, assembling teams, and importantly, creating new revenue streams. I take a collaborative approach. I seek and utilize data and take that approach to identify issues and find solutions. Thank you.
While you're up.
Good morning, board members and corporate members. I came to USA in 1962 as a student, and I graduated from Wayne State University with a master's, with a bachelor's and master's, and MBA in managerial accounting. After that, I was a technical manager at Ford and GM in the newly emerging field of computer-aided engineering. After retiring, I did consulting for 10 years in various companies in the US and abroad. During 1967 to 2021, I served as a vice president and president of a HOA in Troy, Michigan. Later, I became a director of the HOA in West Bloomfield, where we started an annual wetlands cleanup project and began holding progressive dinners so that people can meet each other. I also served as a treasurer for the India Temple Group in Troy, and I did some volunteer work at Henry Ford Hospital in Michigan. My wife and I moved here in 2022. We have enjoyed the wonderful amenities of this beautiful village, like golf and swimming and bridge and social activities of different clubs. I was elected to the GRF board last year in November 2024. I have served on various committees such as finance, security, the disaster preparedness, energy committee, and mobility and vehicles committee. I also served as an ombudsman in helping many residents in resolving their safety and security issues. And I put them in contact with the proper personnel in the VMS. My goal is to keep the life in the village affordable and enjoyable for all the residents. I promise to use my previous HOA experience to bring fiduciary responsibility and financial accountability to the village. Thank you for for giving me the opportunity. I hope you will give me my support. Thank you.
Carmen. Carmen, let's go.
Thank you. Putting residents first. I believe GRF exists to serve all 18,000 residents. My focus is listening, building trust, problem solving, and making decisions that keep Laguna Woods Village affordable. My key priority is to protect residents from runaway costs by carefully managing budgets and reserves, explore fair fee structures so that everyone shares the load without overburdening those who use fewer amenities, to explore cost-saving partnerships and smarter long-term planning, modernizing our village by supporting upgrades to technology, broadband, EV charging, and security systems, ensure that aging facilities and clubhouses are maintained for the future, to keep transportation reliable and sustainable, to avoid short-term benefit at the expense of long-term effect, strengthening volunteerism and governance, encourage more residents to step up as volunteers and board candidates, improve transparency so residents can clearly understand decisions that affect them, bridge generational differences to make our community stronger together, and community well-being to protect safety through effective security and preparedness planning, to support programs that enhance health, wellness, and social connections, to promote inclusivity so all voices feel heard and valued, and smart partnerships and advocacy to hold vendors accountable for cost and quality, to seek outside funding where possible through grants, renewable energy incentives, etc. Ensure compliance with state laws while defending resident interests. My commitment, I have seen the power of our village when we come together, whether it's through music or clubs or volunteerism or simply neighborly support. As your GRF director, I will bring creativity, teamwork, practical problem solvings to ensure Laguna Woods Village remains a community we are proud to call home. My qualifications as a business owner for over 20 years in the fine art photo paper market, plus lifelong dedication to business performance as sales and marketing executive for capital equipment in the global marketplace, and as operations manager overseeing an annual budget of $250 million on import and export business. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Allison?
My name is Allison Bach. The very first day that I became eligible to work on the Laguna Woods Village Mutual Board of Directors, I did. Since then, I've served as director and president of United, then vice president and president of GRF. I've chaired boards, served on many committees in both entities to deal with quality of daily life and the enhancement of property values. I've written volumes of newsletters and articles and responded to countless messages from members. Professionally, I earned my living in the financial sector as a stockbroker, marketing manager, and company officer for some of the best-known securities and insurance service providers in the private sector. When I retired early, I then brought that experience to the homeowners associations where I lived, in New York City and in Florida. In these, I served as board treasurer and president. Additionally, I volunteered at several not-for-profits. It was a privilege to participate in the launch and for 8 years in the operation of a worldwide foundation created by a former U.S. president. In Golden Rain Foundation today and tomorrow as I see it, I envision it being in sync with the corporate member partners, the mutuals. We know who elects us and helps to fill the coffers. We must jointly choose to spend assessment money on projects that contribute to the quality of life here and the investment members make in their homes. As trustees, we pledge to maintain and improve the assets of the trust, equitably benefit the biggest number of members possible, implement changes that fit into our community, create and deliver cost-effective and resource-efficient programs that comply with the fiduciary duties as trustees, and conform to legal requirements of the trust and all governing documents. Well, how to accomplish this? I believe it's by comprehending and studying the issues, engaging in serious problem solving, communicating early and often through open meetings and through the media, all media. Often that means more listening than talking. Exploring all opportunities to cut costs by deferring or revising capital plans until projects are justified and realistic proposals are on the table. Demanding cost analysis of the operating budgets and researching service alternatives. Looking for better ways to serve more members through investigating what other 55-plus communities offer and using community association and trade group resources. Staying current with the advances in technology and applying them here, reviewing and revising contractual arrangements for our joint benefit, and being unafraid of dialogue and discussion, even when it's complicated and contentious. I respectfully ask for your vote.
Okay, Michaela,
Yes, I could read.
Jean Costello.
Yes, I'll read her opening statement right now. Okay, my name is Jeannie Costello, and I am excited to announce my candidacy for the Golden Rain Foundation Board of Directors. My sincerest apologies that I cannot be with you in person today, but we are on a trip that was booked months ago and could not be changed. A little about me: my husband, Jim, and I have been residents of our community for the past 5+ years, and I am currently serving as First Vice President of United Mutual. I am deeply committed to ensuring Laguna Woods Village remains a wonderful place to live. Some background and experience. Professionally, I have over 40 years in managing the procurement and manufacturing for a multi-billion-dollar corporation, including 10 years of project management experience. This has equipped me with the skills necessary to create and manage large budgets, lead projects, negotiate and communicate effectively with diverse groups of people. Personally, I have been actively involved in our Laguna Woods community through my position on the United Mutual Board of Directors and in the Laguna Woods Village Pickleball and California Club boards and various other social, sport, and volunteer opportunities. Being on volunteer boards has taught me the value and art of building respect and consensus among peers and partners in order to accomplish great things. My vision and goals for my term are clear-cut. 1, enhance communication. Continue to foster a transparent, open line of communication between GRF, the mutual boards, VMS, and our residents. I will work to ensure that everyone's voice is heard and valued. In my current position, I have worked to turn our mutual's town halls into an opportunity to be more proactive in presenting subject matter experts with information and insight on timely topics of concern. I have also partnered with our VMS Media and Communications team to update and provide additional relevant information in the new resident information packet. 2, maintain and improve community facilities. Advocate for the efficient upkeep and enhancement of our facilities and community amenities to meet the needs of all residents. My current position on the Community Activities Committee is near and dear to my heart and has provided me with opportunities to do just that. I am also very proud of the fact that we in United Mutual were able to add 2 additional rounds of landscaping for the shrubbery and manor flower beds, something that our members have been requesting for a while now. Looking forward, one significant topic under consideration recently has been the implementation of solar panels to help minimize the effects of expected significant rate increases by generating our own electricity, at least partially. I, for one, am all for it. There is never not a good time to invest in the future power and economic independence of our community. However, with the technology and current rebate programs in place, there has never been a better time than this and may never be again. Literally, the future is now. She also discusses, for time purposes, fiscal responsibility, safety, and security. And her closing for the opening statement: I believe in active listening, collaboration, transparent decision-making, and creating a call to action. I will work respectfully and honestly with my fellow GRF board members, our mutuals, VMS, and our residents to address concerns in a timely manner. And I will not monitor and balance GRF expenditures carefully to provide maximum return on investment for our residents and mutual stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean, long distance. Okay. Well, let's get into the questions. And now what we're talking about here is, you've all said what you've done in the past. That was then. This is now. So what are you going to do for me lately? That's the real question. And we're going to try to find out where you lie in. And here's the format. I'll ask a question, then Egon will ask a question, and then our corporate members have each supplied a question, and it's up to Charlie and Robert if they want to ask that personally. That would be great. Who could sound like them? Then beyond that, we'll bounce back to some questions we have, and then beyond that, the audience here has sent Michaela, or given Michaela, a number of questions, and we'll deal with those towards the end. So let's start it off with myself first. And this particular question, what are your top 3 goals if you are elected to the GRF board? Now, we appreciate that there's going to be overlap here. Wouldn't be surprised if you all have pretty much the same ideas, but in your talking about this, the one that you think that you really have the most fire for, please emphasize that somehow. Okay, let's go. What are your top 3 goals if you're elected to the GRF board? I guess we start off with Nancy. Am I correct, Michaela? We start, okay, all right.
Darn. My top 3 goals: revenue, revenue, revenue. We need to develop some revenue streams for GRF. Of course, that's a complicated question because we're dictated by the trust and elements to that, and so it involves board discussions and meetings with legal counsel relative to what we can do. But our operational expenses is tapping into reserves, and that's targeting residents' wallets, and that's a big problem. We cannot just continue to move into the future, I believe, strictly and raising our assessments as the sole means of revenue for us. It also means, second, is that we're going to have to take a very, very serious look at the fee structure and shared costs. And the third thing is some elements of management. Now, these are lengthy answer discussions, so you asked for the 3 items that I'm off the top of my head I'm thinking of. And revenue is key in there as finding a source for revenue streaming. That's actually in my background, and I have ideas about that, but this isn't the forum for this.
Is that it? All right, thank you, Nancy. Manahar.
Thank you, Andy. My top 3 goals are, one is the balanced budget. We want to make sure that we don't overspend, and we still do all our projects which we are supposed to do. The other thing is the cooperation. We have to cooperate with the corporate boards and VMS to make sure everything runs smoothly. And the third thing is the safety and security. We want to maintain the safety and security for all the residents in the village. Thank you.
Thank you, Manahar. Carmen.
There's going to be a lot of crossover. There's going to be a lot of crossover here because I think everyone has pretty much a lot of the same goals. I would just add that reducing costs in one of my goals would be to look at absolutely every cost that we have. I'm from the Jack Welch School of Business Management, and he was 10 years CEO of General Electric Corp. You can cut 5 to 10% out of any budget. Anybody can. Look at your own personal budget at home. So I would specifically look at that on the current side. In addition to that, I would want to plan for the future with new technology to keep those costs down so that we have a guided project where we're looking at every year, every budget will have a small amount of increase to the homeowner on a regular basis, so it's there all the time, and you can count on it, and you can plan your own personal budgets according to that. And then the third thing that I would do, and after talking to so many people in the village for so many years, is to enhance our customer service. And technically, each of our residents in the village they're a customer to the GRF. And it's in, the board must satisfy that customer in any way possible. And we have to spend time, money, and energy on that. So those are my 3 topics.
Thank you. Ellison?
First of all, been living with this for the last year, so my focus is a little bit different perhaps than what you've heard so far. One is the fiscal responsibility should be built into every single project, whether it's an operational project or a capital project. And that means carefully looking at what is proposed to be done, making sure that it's the appropriate project at the appropriate time at the right price, and getting competitive information so that we are making good choices. We're not just signing off on what's put in front of us. We look into it, we investigate for ourselves, and we are satisfied that it meets our cost-benefit analysis and the needs of our community. Financially, that is. Secondly, it's the quality of daily life. What is it that makes us feel safe and secure and that guarantees us a good time here? Are there enough things for us to do at every level of competence, of age, of capability to participate? Is there enough for everybody? Let's make sure everybody is appropriately served for their quality of life needs. And the third thing is preserving the value. Preserving the value of our assets. We have tremendous assets that are in the GRF trust that you are the beneficiaries of. Now, we have to make sure that those assets are protected, they're preserved, and they're enhanced. That takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of research and decision-making. And there are some points of decision-making that we apply everywhere. Is it legal? Is it financially feasible? And is it to the benefit of most of the community? Thank you.
John?
Well, I have to agree with Nancy and also with Allison in that fiscal responsibility is probably our most important responsibility to make sure that we have a maximum return on investment, that we have the cost-benefit analysis that you had mentioned, and that we make sure that we are minimizing assessments where and whenever possible. Costs always go up. And as Nancy mentioned, we need to find revenues. Where can they come from? Where are opportunities for us to benefit the community? The second one I have is safety and security. This is the 5th safest city in California. I want to make sure we keep it that way. There's rumors running around now about gate security and all that sort of stuff. Most of them are false. Okay, don't. Anyway, my opinion. But we need to have the safety and security of the community since we are one of the 5 safest communities in California. And the last one I have is collaboration with other mutuals. We need to work together for the common benefit of Laguna Woods Village and its residents. We work for you. You are our boss in telling us what you feel you need and what you want. Our responsibility is trying to figure out the financial best way of achieving that goal and benefiting everybody. My underlining principle is, again, it has to benefit everyone. It can't just be one group, one club, one this, one that. It has to be for all. Sometimes that means we have to squeeze a little bit and it hurts a little bit. That's life. That's the world.
That's it. That's it. Okay. Thank you all for your initial question. I'll turn it over to Egon. And we'll be starting with Manahar. Egon.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to try to remain practical. What do you think is the proper relationship between the GRF board and the operating company VMS, Manahar?
Well, officially, VMS works for GRF,
Yes.
but in actuality, we had to be practical and we had to work with them to improve the life in the village and make sure that we don't overspend the budget, but also give the proper service to all the residents. So it has to be a cooperative approach. Thank you.
Carmen? Would you like me to
okay,
repeat
thank
the
you.
question?
No, I have the question.
Okay.
Okay, so the relationship between GRF and VMS. The best way to describe it is, this is a team, and it's a team effort, all the way from all of the boards combined with, and VMS is included in that. But GRF is the trust, and we operate from the trust document. And VMS is to implement that trust. So our relationship has to be tied together. There can be no division between the two, period, end of subject. Whether it was VMS or the previous arrangement, they still had to work together as a team. So my vision is a team, GRF and VMS together, working together to implement the trust. That's all I have.
Thank you. Allison?
Well, this is a complicated subject. This is a contractual relationship that GRF has with VMS, just the way United has and Third has, a contractual relationship with VMS. They are a service provider, a management services provider for us. For GRF, it means that the GRF board makes decisions in the best interests of the community according to the tenets of the trust. It is then up to put the decisions in front of VMS to tell us how they might suggest implementing those decisions in the best, most cost-effective way. And we are also, to complicate this more, we are co-owners of VMS, along with Third and with United. So we are contracted and we are owners. This is extremely complicated. And we have taken in the GRF board over the last year a very analytical approach to recommendations that come from VMS. We take the time, we take our responsibility seriously to look at what they suggest, not rubber stamp it just because it came up, but to do our own research, make our own decisions, and sometimes they have to go back to the drawing board until we're satisfied that it's best for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. John, do you want the question again?
No, I'm good. The GRF trust is the controlling document that overshadows and guides where we need to go and how we need to function. As Allison said, VMS is a sub-corporation under GRF. So GRF is the overall guiding, but the VMS is the boots on the ground. So we need to have a collaboration between GRF and VMS as to the VMS is on the ground. They see, their eyes, they're the ears. They can tell us what needs to be done, what's important, help us prioritize the fiscal needs of the community. But it needs to be a mutual communication, a collaboration is probably the word that I really want to emphasize between the GRF and the VMS. We definitely have, through the trust, unique responsibilities, and we need to remember those responsibilities and function under those.
Thank you. Nancy?
I'm going to reiterate a little bit of what Allison said. We're a common interest development. We have 3 mutuals that own all the assets. It's impractical for United, Third, and 50 to be managing the facilities, the land, and so on and so forth. So 60 years ago, and for other reasons, to get FHA loans and so on and so forth, they formed a trust. The trust is a contractual relationship between the 3 mutuals. Mutuals tend to their business, and GRF handles all these amenities and facilities and so on and so forth. The trust documents, the legal document, dictates, it's not an option, it dictates that we have a professional management company. They don't care who it is. That's our decision. The corporate members decide who will be our management company. That comes with performance evaluations, all the typical things that any management company is subject to. Because while we own them, we are still their client. GRF is not a charity, it's a nonprofit. VMS is a nonprofit, but it's beholden to serving the needs of the mutuals and the needs of GRF, which are really the executive functions, meaning executing that. So our relationship, if the question is what is our proper relationship, I believe I've defined it as opposed to saying what it should be. It's spelled out for us.
Thank you, Nancy. Andy, go ahead with the next question.
Thank you all. Next section, briefly, we're going to go literally to the horse's mouth. And I don't mean that, and I do mean it. We're going to go to the horse's mouth on this. I have 2 questions. I could read them, but I'll give the corporate presidents who are here the chance to read them in their own style. Robert, are you game? Robert here? Are you game to ask your question? Let me give you a little background on this question. Over the past year, to give you a baseball analogy, GRF is batting 0 for 3. We had 3 big issues come up, and they're not the only ones. We were highlighting 3 big issues, and 2 of them the corporate members rejected outright, and the 3rd one got rejected because of wasn't an input. So batting 0 for 3. Robert,
Well,
go
you
ahead.
basically took what happened was Andy contacted me and he contacted Charlie as president of United and asked us to submit questions to him. I didn't know that you would ask us to come up. That was not part of the arrangement, but okay. Here was the question as I specifically submitted it this morning to Andy. In the past year, 3 proposals have been brought forward by GRF, 2 of which were rejected by corporate members and 1 rejected by the community at large. If elected, how do you propose to gain the support for proposals from both the corporate members and the community?
All right, there you go. Clear enough? Everyone understand? Carmen.
That was clear as mud. I had to do that because what Robert just brought up is probably one of the most important aspects of what we're to do here. If we get rejected on a proposal, there's a pretty good reason why it was rejected. Probably not enough conversation or enough commitment to get to a positive point, and you just out of hand just slap it down. I've seen that happen so many times, which is why I'm here. I'm running because I see that there's so much opportunity where we can get together and make things happen versus everyone being in their own silo and coming up with their own suggestion or their own ideas. And it happens in business all the time. I mean, it's every single day, especially if you own your own business and you've got payroll to meet and you've got huge responsibilities. There is no time for bickering. You have to sit down, work it out, and come up with solutions. So I hope that answers your question. The objective is to work together. As I said in my opening statement, this is a team. And there are different teams, but you're still pulling for the same league. Everybody's in the same venue. And back to my original statement, our customers. We have to keep our customers forefront in mind. That's the objective, end goal objective. Think of the customer first. That's it.
Thank you, Carmen. Ellison?
It's a really good question. I would turn it around and say, what have we learned from that experience of the special election or the special members meeting that rejected those proposals? I think what we have learned is that information has to be put out early. It has to be correct. It has to be comprehensive. It has to be shared. There has to be more information out sooner and more conversations about what kinds of projects are proposed and why they are important to everybody, why they make sense. So communication and information early and often. Secondly, projects need to be somewhat more detailed. They can't be so broad that people say, I don't know what you're talking about, but hell no. Don't want to do that. They have to be more specifically defined so that people can say, yeah, I understand that. I understand how it would work. I understand how it would benefit. Or not. So that's another thing that was learned. Another thing is that we have to be sure that we don't let other issues cloud the decision that's on the table. Or we understand that those issues are the issue on the table. For example, money. We had to understand that people in the village were very concerned, and directors were very concerned about the size of the fiber infrastructure project that was going on and what it would do to our reserve levels. So that might have meant, if we understood this more clearly, that we probably were not going to have a lot of support for other smaller projects, but projects that were big enough to impact those reserve levels. So those are the things that were learned from that, and those are the things that I would do differently. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellison. John?
Well, I think we've got several things that need to happen here. If it's an easy issue, that's easy. Everybody's going to accept it. The problem is when we have some kind of a conflict or a misunderstanding. And that brings me to the importance of accuracy, explain clearly, clarify, support, and justify. If I can justify to you something that's uncomfortable but is understandable and you understand the future benefits that will come from that, then it's going to be more acceptable and will be more able to be agreed upon by all. It's when you have the miscommunication and misunderstandings or misinformation that goes out, which we have an issue with right now. And we need to look at the cost, benefit, return on investment. If I can explain to you there is a long-term benefit to this, then just as we do in our own homes, we're going to bite the bullet and we're going to find a way to make it happen. But if I can't clarify, if I can't justify, if I can't make you understand the importance of this, the relevancy, the justification for this, then nothing's going to happen. But if I can justify it and get you to understand is the key, then we have a possibility of moving forward.
Thank you, John. Nancy?
We have a system that essentially discusses things in the community a lot by rumor, hearsay, and innuendo. We set up and announce a special corporate members meeting where there's a major item to come up, and to be voted on, and everybody goes into a panic. It's we versus them, as if the board is definitive about something. It does suggest that we need to combat groupthink and to move into a situation where we have to, on a big issue, a big money issue, which is really, or a major infrastructure change, that we need to do some individual town halls set up at special times, more than one. Because one big town hall, let's say, in Clubhouse 1, is going to be chaos. We've seen that happen before, and so GRF, for example, backs off of that. They haven't done one since. But when you break things down into elements, we're only going to be talking about A, we're only talking about B, and now that we have this great website, and we're trying to drive people to use the website, all the details are spelled out there. Don't rely, I'm indirectly saying, don't rely on what your neighbors are telling you or how to vote or what this is about. Rely on the facts and the details there so that you're educating. And then it doesn't seem so forbidding, because you can make the arguments. And it's a bit incumbent upon the directors to say, for us to say, you know, we need a town hall on this, or we need several on this. We did that with Ting, and there was, despite the financial impact, there was more community involvement. So whatever the particular example that you're sending forward to us, it's basically we need to educate, and there's mechanisms for that. We need the details well explained, and that we don't have peripheral issues. In other words, don't set up meetings where we're going to be voting on 3 different items because you know they're going to say no to, they've got to say no to something.
Thank you, Nancy. Manohar.
As I said in my earlier opening statement, we want to keep the life for residents affordable and enjoyable. So whenever there's a new project and we want to let everybody know, so we have to communicate and collaborate. Those are the 2 main processes available to us so that we can inform the residents as well as work with the corporate boards. So we got to have a town hall, as Nancy said, and show you the cost and benefit so that we can make a proper decision and go with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Manohar. And that concludes the answers to the 3rd question. Now, same thing is offered to Charlie Prater.
How about I ask a question now?
Pardon?
Let me ask a question now, okay?
Well, okay. We wanted to give United a chance to ask a question first.
Pardon me?
United. Third asked a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Charlie, are you willing to come up and say what you said via email?
Uh-oh.
No, I wasn't ready. I was not ready to come up and talk. But when I look at the candidates here, even the one that isn't here, I see this experience in the room, and a lot of good experience. So it's not going to be an easy decision, and I know that everybody will base their decisions, I hope, on knowledge and going forward with right decisions. My question, I'm going to actually join the 2 questions into one. Okay. In California, there is an HOA laws that run HOAs that we are supposed to follow in California. And there's also a set of rules that we also use in our directors with our HOAs. And my question, and I know this was going to be very easy for some of you, but what is the California law that we follow? And what are the best ruling laws that we are required to follow? And I think most of you will know this. Thank you.
Okay, is everyone clear on what Charlie was asking? Okay. Ellison,
Corporate Code, California Corporate Code, Davis Sterling, period.
is that it?
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
That is the answer.
John, that's the answer. That's what,
I totally concur. Is the driving force behind the HOA California law and the rules. What else needs to be said?
and Manhart, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree with Ellison. It is the David Sterling which we have to follow. I don't know if there are any other laws. And then if we don't know something, we also have our attorney to help us.
Carmen, do you have a comment on this?
Yes, of course, it's David Sterling, but included in that corporate directive that we have in California, it's a probate issue. And so that's the key legal context of our corporate documents. So we're all operating under probate. And I mean, it's 40 pages long. I think I read it 3 times in the last year. That's where we are. So Davis Sterling and probate. State of California.
All right, thank you. Well, Egon is now going to ask.
Wait a minute, you haven't asked Nancy.
Well, the answer, the answer, I think we in consensus about it, is Davis Sterling. It's a corporation code and the subsection, the probate code.
Okay. All right, so it says here, ask each candidate this hypothetical question. By the way, I had my questions generated by Chat GPT because I wanted to get a little more depth than how. And so it says here, ask this hypothetical question and then ask them, and this is what I want you to do. Go through your thinking after you give me the answer. Our operating company proposes a $200,000 equipment replacement that's within the budget, but half the items still have usable life. The facilities manager supports full replacement of all items, while financial staff recommends deferring half the cost. How would you approach this decision? What would you recommend? And give us your thinking. I'm going to start with Manohar on this.
Okay, if we have enough money in the budget, but we still want to make sure that we are spending wisely, the items which are still usable, we should postpone those, replacing. But the ones which are not usable and we have to buy those, we should go ahead and purchase the new ones. So that would give us some money which can be used for other projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Manohar. Carmen.
Well, that's right up my alley. Capital equipment. If it's capital equipment, and we can ask ChatGPT what that was all about, but if it's capital equipment and you have a half-life on one piece, you can either trade it in for the new one, get rid of the old one, because the old one's going to cost you money to keep it running. And the new one, you could lease it and write off that lease aspect of it. You have a new product without going into budget. And being that it's under $500,000, we have the right in GRF to take that product and just make that happen without spending a whole lot of time and effort and energy bouncing back and forth between 5 boards to get something as simple as getting a piece of equipment replaced. So there are many options, but that's how I would answer ChatGPT.
Thank you. Allison.
Well, we do what we have been doing, and that is take nothing for granted. Take a look at what is being requested, look at what is being replaced, and evaluate it. Evaluate it objectively. Is it still usable? Can it be postponed? Can it be deferred? Does it really have to be replaced? And then look at the choices that we have for replacing that equipment. Now, this sounds like a lot of work for a $200,000 decision, which is not that huge in the terms of the overall budget of GRF. But it means a lot if every single time we stop, we think, we evaluate, and we look at alternatives. And that's what we've been doing, and that's what I recommend we continue to do.
Thank you, Allison. John?
Well, I think what we need to look at, first of all, is what's being replaced. What is the technology? An example I can bring up right away is Ting, which is going on right now. We have a major upgrade, major cost, but we're going to get a major benefit out of it. So what is the cost-benefit analysis? Are we preparing for future new technology, new findings that are going to come in, that are going to give us better services, better living? The real thing to me is I have to look at what is the cost, what is the benefit, how are we in the evolution of whatever this issue is that we're trying to address with this technology. Are we talking about a Volkswagen or a Tesla? And really the cost-benefit analysis comes into place in my mind is the most important thing. What are we getting for our money? Is it definitely improving the lives here in Laguna Woods Village? Or is it just an additional expense? Just because something still works doesn't necessarily mean it's working at a high efficiency. It may work, but it really is not delivering the services or the products or whatever it is that we need at a reliable, efficient, and cost-effective manner. So we need to look at, is this new technology or whatever it is we're going to be bringing in going to actually be a cost decrease because of the cost of maintaining or the monthly expense on that particular product. So it's really a cost-benefit analysis in my mind that we would have to see, where's the benefit? Where's the long-term benefit? Is it really going to give us new and better results?
Thank you. Nancy?
You know what I like about this question, Egon? This is emblematic of how the board functions. We have an issue that comes to committee. This is precisely what happens. We discuss this. We don't just take staff's recommendation. And among the directors, they will raise these very questions. Well, should we buy it? Should we lease it? You know, my experience is when we lease it, we can buy it out at the end of the lease at a bargain basement price, so we get the best of both worlds. We preserve cash, preserve our reserves, and at the end we can buy something for a deal. That's the kind of thing that happens in these meetings. So my answer is really by providing this as an example, and isn't this tell you how a committee, how your board wants to function, that we don't take it at face value, a staff recommendation or something, because the staff may change, and somebody who made up the budget could have been, you know, a year ago and not work for us anymore. So you can see that the board and the committees take these line items very seriously. Even if the residents don't see it in the community, we do.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay, Andy, your question.
Well, you know, Egon, you're on a roll. Why don't you handle the next one?
Gee, thanks.
All right, do you want to do that? Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Okay. Let me ponder a couple of questions here.
If I may, I'm the president of Mutual 50, and we haven't had an opportunity to ask questions.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, that's a good point, and I didn't have your email, to be honest with you, I didn't. I would have asked you.
Good morning and thank you. There's been talk about cost sharing. And so I'd like to know what your position is on shifting costs to users from shared costs to individual costs. And if so, which costs? And as a note, I'm a golfer. I play a lot of 9 holes. I play on both courses. And I see greens which are missing huge sections of grass. And I wonder about the allocation of money and the cost sharing, because we do pay, I don't know whether we pay enough, too much. I've never been able to find out what is the cost of a round of golf. So I'm interested in this whole issue of cost sharing and who would pay for it under your preferred method. Thank you.
Is that question clear to everyone?
No.
I mean, sort of? No.
Would you
multiple
put your question into
What's the
one
question?
question that
And it's
they
not- it's
can
just
answer?
golf.
Just
It
one,
does-
one
Agreed.
thought,
Agreed.
central thought.
Okay, what is your position on the allocation of costs to users and to the community as a whole?
Very good, thank you.
Everyone clear on that? No? No. Still not clear, still not clear. Sorry about that, but hey, communication is the most important thing.
Maybe I'll get it better on the third time. Okay. We have many recreational facilities here, and each of those has an attendant cost. There has been talk about shifting the cost of using those facilities, possibly from a shared cost, which is shared equally by all of the units in the community, to the individual users. So individual users might be golf or pickleball or tennis or dancing or whatever it is. So the question is, what is your position on this issue of cost sharing between sharing the cost with the community and sharing the cost with the individual user?
All right, what do you think? I mean, let's try, let's get this done. I'm the corporate treasurer, and I agree with you that we need some principled look at how we pay for these things. And I would argue that there's stuff, the social contract, when we moved in here, there's an expectation that certain things are covered. And there's also maybe not such a clear expectation of what's not covered. And I think maybe that's what you're getting at. How much should the users pay? Philosophically speaking, how much should the users pay? Am I correct? Well, yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Let's start with since we had. Why don't we start with where do we finish off?
We finish with these, we start with?
You want to? Okay. You want to take it? All
I'll
right.
take it. Yeah, it's a complicated thing, and we face it every year when we're going through the budgets about what the shared costs are, and then we have people show up with pitchforks and torches that say, you're not going to raise, the fees on to play shuffleboard or something like that. But it's a quantitative issue and it's a qualitative issue. We are a shared cost community. That's part of the tenets of the arrangement when the village was established. But what does that mean? I mean, we don't pay to go in to swim in the swimming pool. We don't pay to walk onto the tennis court. If your suggestion is that we're going to have, a box there that somebody's going to have to contribute to go out and play tennis, we aren't doing that. But there are other amenities, like the golf course is a principle that comes to, that you're raising, is what is a shared cost arrangement? One of the quantitative measures in determining that should be, we also look in the immediate area too. We've got golf courses out here. What does the public pay to play in a course versus what is us? I said in the beginning of this Meet the Candidates is that we have revenue issues. And in order to maintain that golfer and keep the golf course, hey, I've got to have to pony up a little bit more money to play golf, and it's going to be far cheaper than our neighbors' free course. So that's part of my social contract with my fellow residents who aren't playing golf, although I really don't play golf, but I'm using that as an example. So every item within it, if you come to the budget meetings, whether it's the Equestrian Center, there is debate about that. And fortunately, at the Meet the Third candidate meeting, that came up there indirectly. And what I believe it was one of our new directors, elects, said, yeah, in the past, we succumbed to the club's pressures. Those are my words, but the gist of it was we've caved. And we've given in to the clubs, not, oh, we don't want to raise the fees on this. We pay this much. No, you really don't. We're financing everything. We members are financing it. We're just trying to balance out what's coming out of our wallet in assessments versus those who are using those amenities and facilities.
Thank you, Nancy Minohar.
Thank you, Andy. Again, to keep the goal of affordability and enjoyability in mind, which is my goals, we have to follow the cost share we have now, which is 60-40 or something like that. So as long as people can afford to pay, we should maintain that. So we don't want to overcharge and make it so expensive that they won't play. Like, maybe if we increase the cost for the golf so much that they won't even bother to go. So we just have to have that ratio. We should maintain the ratio so that everybody can enjoy and be able to pay. Thank you.
Thank you, Minohar. Carmen?
As I understand the question, the first question when you approached was, how do I know what the allocation is, or how do I know where do I get the information, et cetera, et cetera. My recommendation, and anybody that I talk to in the village, when they start complaining about something, the first thing I ask them is, well, do you ever go to a meeting of GRF or the mutual? And the answer is always no. So my suggestion is go to the meeting. As a member, as a resident member, you have 3 minutes. You come to a meeting, you sign a card, you get up and you have 3 minutes. That's the most precious time that you have in your day. End of subject. You come in, you ask a question, you're not held accountable or unaccountable. You state your question, and most importantly, at the end of that round of member comments, the board, if they choose, each director, they can respond to you and answer your question in detail. I mean, these boards are made up of some of the brightest people that I've ever met. You present them with a topic in your 3-minute member comment, you'll get a response, and you'll get a good response. And if you don't like that response, come back next month and do the same thing. And if you don't get a response, then come back the next month. And if you keep doing that, you're going to get an answer. Trust me. I've been there. I've done it. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Carmen. Ellison?
The budget this in 2025 allocates every single month $49 of your payment to GRF goes for recreation, $49. And that covers the gamut. Some things are free, completely free. Almost everything in Clubhouse 4, for example, the arts and crafts and so on, the studios, yeah, you pay for your materials and your bit of membership and your locker fee and so on, but those are fully supported. Others, activities and amenities are supported in part by member fees. You pay to play. You pay when you go and use it because you are the exclusive user of that in that moment. And especially if it's your private property that is being maintained or serviced by an amenity, it's no more than fair that you pay more for that, I would think. If you look on page 181 of the Green Book. The Green Book is the big spiral-bound book that is printed every year that shows all the budgets. Page 181 will show you exactly for the percentage participation by owners versus the community as a whole in each of the recreational activities that we sponsor. Is that right? Is that good? That is something that we debate every single year in the budgeting process. What is right? What is correct? and what is equitable to all. Some people use nothing. They've never used anything here in the community in the way of recreational facilities. Other people are very heavy users of them. So what is fair? The concept is the social contract that Andy mentioned, that this will be provided, and it's up to you to either play as you wish, and when it's your time to pay more, that you do so. So that's my response to that question.
Thank you, Allison. John?
Well, we've just identified the elephant in the room. This is probably one of the most difficult questions that any board is constantly faced with. How do you balance satisfaction of your client and an efficient cost basis for it? I'm a very firm believer in zero-based budgeting. What that means is you start at zero, and then you justify everything above that, every dollar that's spent above that. Golf came up, which is, we have many, many, many golfers, and it's shared. The expense of that is shared by many, by everybody in the community, as Allison pointed out. Is that fair? Well, I have to say yes and no. Yes, it's fair because there's no other way to do it. No, it's not fair because, as she pointed out, I don't play golf, but I still pay for the golf course. Okay, I think that's reasonable for me to be able to support my neighbor to be able to go and enjoy a round of golf. At the same time, I would be expecting my neighbor, the golfer, to reasonably pay for his or her use of that golf course. So coming back to zero-based budget, what is the actual cost for whatever that program is? Let's figure out where that is. Let's figure out how much of that, we've got $42, $49 from GRF for recreation. How much and how well can we share that around all of the different 250 clubs and recreational projects and things that we have going on? The last thing I'm going to say is we're not going to make everybody happy. There's going to be somebody that's not happy because we're not living in a perfect world. And some of us just have to buck up and say, okay, I'm going to pay $1 for somebody else to enjoy something. They're going to pay $1 for me to enjoy something I'm doing. It's a shared thing, but it is an elephant in the room. There is no right answer. Bye.
Thank you, John. Before we move on to the Egon's question, to the people in the towers, sorry for the, no disrespect meant, just happened. You are an equal partner when it comes to GRF in getting all this done. Third United and the towers are equal partners in getting the message, getting the mission done for the residents. And you have a set of residents, and then there's a broader set of residents. We all need to work together. So, as was stated some way, that get involved, and you guys are involved, and that's great. Hope to see more of you. And thank you. Egon.
Yeah.
First of all, who are we going to start with? I don't know where we are.
So, well, let me go with this. If two board committees give you conflicting recommendations, what steps would you take to resolve that? Look at, for the systematic problem solving that we're looking for in that, I'm going to start that with Carmen.
Okay, so the
Do
way,
you want me,
as
you want me to read it again?
no, I understand the question.
Okay.
So, typical conflict. Two people disagree with each other. Happens every day. It happens in all walks of life. It happens, every transaction is a plus and a minus. And the only way that, and there's no 100% guarantee answer to this, but in my belief, if you work together, you hammer out the details, you'll find somewhere between the two, there's a misunderstanding. That's been my experience all my life, is there's always two sides of a coin, there's always two sides to a story, and you have to look at both of them. Now, I haven't been on any of the boards. I'm kind of a newbie here, but I was an advisor for the media and communications for about 4 years. No voting, but I always listened to what everyone said. Very rarely did they get to a situation where there were loggerheads and they couldn't come to an answer. So I think if you build the trust and the operational trust within the committee itself, that should prevent the loggerheads. And if people work to, if their goal is to work together to start with, then you should, at that point, eliminate that problem. So I'm looking at it from a preventative standpoint.
Thank you. Allison, do you need the question again?
No, I think this reminds me of working in a heavily regulated industry, as I did, and the many conflicts that arose that required negotiations and conflict resolution. And of course, there's a very famous program that was popular a few years ago called Getting to Yes. And it was used extensively by businesses and universities in conflict resolution and in finding solutions. There are a couple of principles out of that that have stuck with me. One is that there's always a tomorrow. There's always a tomorrow. And things that are done today can be undone tomorrow. And depending on who's in power, you may find yourself on the wrong end of it sometimes, and you might not like it. And people remember. So there's always a tomorrow. And secondly, a good solution is characterized by everybody walking away from it feeling just a little bit miffed. They didn't get everything they wanted, right? So if we bear those things in mind when we are in loggerheads with each other, that there's always a tomorrow, and we're all going to walk away feeling just a little bit, sorry that it went that way. We have to live with it. That is reality, and that's what conflict resolution teaches us.
Thank you, Allison. John?
This comes back to the universal thing that's always out there called communication. We've got two conflicting recommendations that came from different planets. What's the basis for their recommendations? How real is it? How justified is it? I say we break it down to its minimum elements and then do zero-based budgeting. Go from the bottom up. What is most important? What is a priority? Justify from the bottom up so that we can, as Carmen said, where is the misunderstanding? There's going to be some of the conflict is real. There's very large possibility that part of that conflict can be rumor or just plain misunderstanding. Prioritize each single piece. And so long as we're not politics never can solve anything. They're always at each other's loggerhead. So if we can keep politics out of the conflict resolution, as Allison pointed out, and get to the real meat of the matter, and make sure that they're, like you said, everybody walks away a little bit miffed, and nobody walks away a superb winner, and everybody else walks away a huge loser. Where's the common ground? Seek common ground and prioritize from the bottom up so that you can all better understand what the actual issue is that we are trying to address from these different recommendations. And where did the recommendations, what's the basis for the recommendations? They may have, there may be some good information from the people who made this recommendation, good information from people that made this recommendation. You put them together and you may have found common ground. Common ground is always what you're looking for, and getting the yes is always the bottom line.
Thank you, John. Nancy?
I'm kind of flashing on the question that Egon raised previously about the piece of equipment. I like to think in terms of examples. It makes it simple to kind of explain to people and think it through yourself. But I want to say my corporate training, but it's been so many years, it becomes second nature. Like Allison said, the first thing that I've always done is, what do we agree on? The most simple thing. We agreed to make this acquisition. There's a seller and the buyer. A company that was making acquisitions. Do you want to sell? Yes. Okay, there's the first agreement. We want to buy? Yes, we're very interested. And then each element that's quite often the conflict gets derailed and you are working together on making the transaction happen. In the equipment event, I see almost the same scenario playing out. I picture that's the maintenance and construction and finance. Finance says, oh, we don't want to spend this money. Equipment says, hey, we need this new piece of equipment. And then it says almost the example that we had earlier this morning, which is, yeah, we need this piece of equipment, okay? We agree that you need to replace the piece of equipment. Now, how are we going to do it? Are we going to buy a used piece of equipment? And then the pros and cons come forward. You find yourself working together to a solution without recognizing that you're working together on a solution. Now, that doesn't necessarily in principle apply to everything, but a lot of things in life boil down to something as simple as that. And then you each walk away with some win, and not necessarily the whole win, which is what Allison's pointing out is true. What you feel bad about, you don't feel as bad about. But the most important part is that you feel you've been involved in the process and someone hasn't overruled you. And that's where the resentment comes in.
Thank you, Nancy. Manahar.
I would use the principles of project management to resolve this. I would call a meeting for all the people concerned, all the board members or who are involved in this conflict, and have a meeting and go through cost-benefit analysis. See what is the best possible approach, so that it will make sure that all the people are happy and we are not spending out of the budget. So again, keep it enjoyable, affordable. That's my motto. Thank you.
Thank you, Manahar. Andy, your question.
Okay, shift gears a little bit here, and even though this might sound like a softball question, I'm trying to get a little more on this as to how our candidates feel, not how they appear to feel. So my question is, which current GRF committees are a good fit on paper for your specific experience and why? That said, which ones would you prefer to be on if different than that, and why? So, okay, on paper, for example, you look like a perfect treasurer. I'm the treasurer. I get accounting background. But you don't want to be treasurer. You've done that, and you want to move on to something else. You have an interest in, say, M&C, which is more of an engineering thing. You get what do you get what I'm getting at? Candidates, I'm asking you, on paper, where do you fit? But in reality, where do you want to go? And we'll start with Ellison on that.
Well, is there a committee for good times, dancing, square dancing, that sort of thing? If there's a committee for that, I'm up for that. No, actually, I really have to stick with my expertise. I like being on Finance Committee. I enjoyed being on landscaping when I was on that. And the Revenue Ad Hoc Committee was, to me, very rewarding. But to expand out beyond desire to do some square dancing and good times, no,
Okay.
I'm good.
Fair enough, thank you. John?
Well, I'm already on the Disaster Preparedness Task Force. I'm the area coordinator for Part 3, so that's a logical one for me to answer. Not having been on the board, I still don't know and fully understand what they are, what the issues are, what the concerns are. So I don't know exactly where I can contribute the most. I would wait to get on the board, learn more about GRF, find out where I have some expertise that I can use and bring to the table so that I'm contributing rather than just being a bump on a log. And my grandma used to say, two heads are better than one, even if one of them is, even if they're both cabbage heads. So, so communication again is one that I feel is extremely important. The Disaster Preparedness Task Force I'm integrally involved in right now. So I would have to wait till I got on board, learn what everybody else is, find out where the holes are that I might be able to fill and have some expertise that I can contribute. Bye.
Okay, thank you, John. Now we'll move on to Nancy.
I want to say, John, don't worry, we all started where we weren't on the boards. And so it is a launch point. So I hope the voters don't hold that against an individual because they aren't. And sometimes our history is that we do. So having said that, the things that I'm with Allison, I want to learn some, have some fun. But the things where I understand and what I think serves the purpose of the board would for me to be candid, whether I want to say it out loud or not. But it is in the revenue ad hoc, I think we should have a revenue, some connection to that, even if it's a subset of finance. So that's important. CAC is important, but if you're on finance, CAC is really feeding that. There is a very strong connection between the two of those. So because I see those as challenges and opportunities. Where we need to be going in the villages, I really want to see us develop some, fundamental other revenue sources so that we're not just targeting the residents' wallets. We are in an interesting economic ecosystem here, and so I'm thinking that those are best use of me.
Thank you, Nancy. Minohar.
Based on my experience, I would be a good fit for the security committee, the disaster preparedness committee, the energy ad hoc committee, and the mobility and vehicles committee. And all those committees, I am currently a member in addition to the finance committee. So I think I have a good fit for all these committees I am on. Thank you.
Thank you, Manohar. Carmen.
As Nancy said, finance and CAC are pretty much very intertwined. I think, my objective is to keep the costs down as much as possible. So I would imagine on paper I would want to be on the finance committee. And that tied, connected to CAC. I've been involved with every aspect of the activities in the village for 8 years. I've worked in all of the clubhouses. I've worked with most of the clubs on different levels. So I think I would probably end up in CAC, even though I would have one foot in the finance because that's driving they work hand in hand, and I think you have to have a grasp of finance and activities to put them both together. So I would say on paper and finance, and in practicality, probably CAC.
Thank you, Carmen. Point of procedure, Michaela. I have never done this before, so we are scheduled to go to 12:30. So we're just about midpoint, a little past midpoint. Do we, especially the candidates, want to take a 10-minute break for whatever, and then we'll come back, and it looks like we'll start with the audience questions. Does that
Sure,
sound
and then around, let's say 12:15, I think we could, 12:10, we could start closing
No, we're
statements.
still 11 o'clock, aren't we?
Right, so, yeah, so around 12:10, though, we could start the closing statements for all the candidates.
Okay, it's 11:10 right now. Why don't we plan on coming back at 11:20?
Sure.
Candidates, we're going to break for 10 minutes till 11:20. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
You got it.
What?
He came up with these audience questions.
Okay.
So, in no particular
Well, we're
order.
not, go-
Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're on the tail end of our meeting today. Nancy, John, we're all back. We're on the tail end of our meeting today, and we've got some closing questions, and then after that, we'll have closing statements and a wrap-up. And to handle the closing questions, I'm going to turn it over to Egon.
Well, we'll ask about 3 questions and see where we are at that. So the first question is going to be this. What one item that's not necessarily very expensive can you think of that you would like to see implemented that would improve the village life or look or anything in general? And I'm going to start with John on that.
Maybe a bar? No. Well, one item that's not expensive. Well, everything is expensive, and as soon as you say what item that's not expensive is going to be taking money away from the things that we're trying to do, so I would have to say nothing.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're taking away from what we already have in order to come up with this other, even though it's inexpensive, it's still taking away from.
Okay.
And what other amenities and what other things do we need that we can't generate from the audience, from the membership, from the directors? You know, an idea of a new project, a new club, a new something can come from anywhere. So I would have to say nothing.
Okay, thank you. Nancy. No, thank you. Nancy. There's
My
no
answer is-
wrong answers.
My answer is, I don't know. A barber shop and a beauty salon?
Okay, is that it? Thank you. Manohar.
I would say something like a cafeteria where you can go anytime and walk in and buy some snacks or food. But, it should be open whole day. And we don't have to go and go to the Club 19 or something, which is maybe is more expensive. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Manohar. Carmen.
One item I would like to add to the village, and it would cost absolutely nothing, be run by volunteers within the organization. But when the new resident comes into the village and they go over to the little room next to the resident services and they get their resident ID card, and they now have the key to their condo that they just paid $600,000 for, they have no clue how to drive that car. When they walk into that office, they take their picture, they issue them a card, and they send them on their way. And that customer, I'm going to use the term customer, has been just given a big disservice because they have no clue what we're doing here. They have no clue what United is. Most of the people that move in here don't know whether they live in Third or United. They don't know how to use the website. They don't know how to navigate the residential service system. We have our resident portal is phenomenal. You can go in there and do all kinds of things. You type something in. I typed something in at 4 o'clock in the morning. At 8 o'clock the same morning, they showed up at my door. So if the new resident doesn't know about that resident portal or how to use anything in the village, I think we do a big disservice. So that's my take.
Thank you, Carmen. Allison.
I don't have one, but a dog park.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next I'm going to go to one of the questions here from the audience, but I'm going to just reword it slightly. Will you, it said basically, will you support village bus transportation? And I'm going to say, what do you think the future of it should look like? And I'm going to start with Nancy on that.
Well, I do support village transportation. It's in our DNA here. We've got an aging population. All those boomers are, I'm in, 77. I mean, all those boomers. And when I had all my shoulder surgeries, I took the transportation. My criticism of it at the time was I was on the only bus most of the time. So my message to the transportation department is we need to really be on top of our numbers. They don't have the smart cards or anything so they can see the utilization. So that's for that committee to figure all that out. But secondarily, insurance now, most of the insurance, Medicare, provides transportation. So we need to be working with that understanding so that we're saving money where we can relative to the transportation offerings that are in the general welfare through Medicare and people's insurance. And that would be for something for the transportation to investigate. In addition, I know that AgeWell is over here, and I've heard that they want to be integrated in our transportation system. And again, that's a committee thing. Our work is really at the committee level on these items. But yes, I support transportation.
Excuse me, with respect, that is not the question I asked. I will enjoy these answers, but that is not the question I asked. Thank you.
Yes, let me read the exact question just for the gentleman's edification. Will you suggest the village bus transportation? Will you support village bus transportation and oppose the current temporary truncated route system? They may not even know what you're talking about when you're talking about the town.
May I take
No, I don't think so. And the reason is for the decorum. So there's been I will explain it. There's been some routing of the current bus routes, and it has been said to be temporary, and we will go back to the full bus routes. And the question is, how will candidates have no idea if they're necessarily riding the bus what the temporary truncation is? So it doesn't make. So I'm just asking a question. What do you think? Do you support the bus thing? And what do you think the future of it will look like? So I'll move on to Manohar.
I do support the bus system, but I also think that these buses don't run on the weekend. Why don't they run on the weekend? I mean, people still need to go somewhere. May not be doctor, but they need to go to the grocery store or, or whatever. So I think I would see if we can expand to weekends.
Thank you, Manohar. Carmen.
The customer is right. We have to listen to the customer. And if they've changed something so simple as a rerouting of something, I was at one of the meetings here for a different reason, and I heard the same question, that they were going to take that was temporary, and they were going to move that back to the original system. And I think we should, keep on their backs to get it back to where it's supposed to be.
When they canceled the weekend.
Right, I understand. I understand that. I understand that. But so the bigger question to add on to Egon is, where do we go in the future? How do we? So I'm a firm believer in transportation. Doesn't have to be a bus system. We're coming up on technology, robo-taxi. We're coming up with all kinds of auto-driving vehicles. There's a million things that we can move people around. We don't have to have, I think I counted 11 buses every hour leaving Clubhouse 1, almost all of them are empty. Almost every hour, they're empty. And there's something out of sync there. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. So I agree with the customer. The customer is saying, hey, we had this route, why don't we have this route now? Maybe you can do it with an Uber. Maybe you can do it with Lyft or a robo-taxi or something. So there's some technology in the future that we should be looking at. And, I'm sure that robo-taxi is going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than all those buses that are running 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day with union drivers, lots of fuel, lots of insurance, just ghastly expensive amount of money to keep those buses running. And they are empty because I live directly across the street. So I see the empty buses coming and going every day. So it doesn't make sense. But I agree with the customer. We need to do something.
Thank you, Carmen.
That's my take.
Allison, same question.
Yeah, I endorse what Carmen has said. We have to be customer-driven and data-driven and technology-driven when it comes to transportation. There are lots of alternatives out there supplied by insurance policies that we have, Medicare supplemental, that provide various forms of transportation for folks who need it. We also have a heritage system here in the village that is very dear to some of our residents. And we have to rationalize that in terms of its financial cost benefit to the community. There has been for a long time in the transportation department a person who acts as a transportation concierge who will counsel people about the best way to get around. And I think people should avail themselves of that service, of talking to someone. What's the best way for me to get to where I need to go and when? It's no fun to stand on a street waiting for a bus to come. If you could have a lift come right to your cul-de-sac, practically to your door, on time and get you. It's not a perfect system. No system, transportation system is perfect. We do now have a new head of that department, and we're looking for some great changes and results that Jose Campos can help us to formulate. So, yeah, this is another complex, not easily solved issue for GRF.
Thank you, Allison. John?
I think we've got a two-headed elephant here. Part of the problem, I agree with Carmen, that I see the buses are not being utilized. Well, that's a concern to me because is it a waste of time and money and effort? At the same time, I agree that this community has a need for transportation possibilities. One recommendation I would have is why aren't the bus routes up on the website so that people can see where they go, what the schedule is, and know if I wanted to get a bus, I have no idea how to do that. I haven't looked into it. I haven't tried. There's no place where I have seen communication on this. That may be my fault. So awareness and communication are two highly important issues that I would push out so that everybody knows when, where, and how a bus is running, so we can maybe put it on our phone, so we can go out to the waiting area with your phone and figure out, well, this bus is going to arrive at 10:08 or something about that time at this location, similar to what cities have. So my thing is communication, awareness, understanding, and I agree with you. If there's and with Manahar, that if there was Saturday, why is Saturday all of a sudden not as important as any other day of the week? Most of us don't know what day of the week it is anyway, so every day is Saturday. So we have things we want to do on Saturday. I'm sorry. We have things that we want to do on Saturday or Sunday or anything like that. I agree. There should be an available system where you can get about and get around, and it's consistent. It's not, today there's this route, tomorrow there's this route, Thursday there's this route. We get run over by a herd of white elephants on Thursday. We need some clarity, and I think clarity is the biggest communications thing that we as board members need to work on to make sure that the opportunities, the information, is communicated to. I'm off again. Sorry.
Thank you, John. Okay. What are the three top areas you will look at to cut expenses in Laguna Woods Village? Manahar.
Three top areas to what?
Three top areas you will look at to cut expenses in Laguna Woods Village. Manahar.
I would look at the, I have been on this, the Vehicles and Mobility Committee, and it seems like that's one of the big issues, because half the items are either getting repaired or they're not working. So we need to look at why we have all these items which are just sitting doing nothing. And the other item would be, looking at these empty buses. What can we do to make them more full, so being utilized? And other thing I have seen that the landscape people, they always seem to be taking break. So, I mean, am I missing something? So I think maybe they are taking some kind of a rotation or something.
Okay, thank you, Manahar. Carmen.
I would agree with my transportation is a huge expense, and I think it just needs to be addressed. I'm not saying take it away. I just think there could be better ways of doing it. That's number one. The second thing is, I know this is going to sound really, really weird, but I lived in Fullerton for a long time, and they have an arboretum there. And they have beautiful trees, and it's university level arboretum. But once you leave that arboretum, which is like a half-mile square, it's just the wilderness. The trees are everywhere. Fullerton is the city of trees. Fukuoka, Japan is the city of trees. And once you leave the arboretum, you go to the golf courses and the streets and all that. They don't manicure the trees. They only do that in the arboretum. Each tree in our village is treated. There's 35,000 trees. Each one is treated like a work of art. And I sit there with a calculator. I mean, I could watch. We live on a street where the trucks go by, and we can see the amount of trees that are being sculpted on a daily basis, and that has to be a ghastly expense. So anyhow, that's one area. I'm not saying ignore them. I'm just saying it's like we're overthinking the tree thing. I probably disagree with my wife. She says we got 35,000 trees and everything is great, yada, yada, yada. But they're expensive, and we're sculpting them. And the other one is just general maintenance. We need to look at general maintenance and reducing costs within those maintenance departments. That's all.
Allison, you're...
One is first of all, I would take a look at the big budget items, the place where we can save the most, that are costing us the most. One is the multi-year contracts for some of the mega projects that go on in the village. And take a look at those multi-year contracts and see what we can do. Are they being properly bid out? Are they subject to perhaps some favoritism? You know, we've got to be open-minded and look at those multi-year contracts, okay? So that's a big one. That's something that generally people aren't aware of and cannot get involved in because they're confidential. But that is a huge budget item. They represent millions and millions of dollars every single year, and we owe it to you to take a look at them, a hard look at them. Secondly would be to do a right sizing of facilities and amenities that get very, very little use. Let's call it right sizing. We have some facilities some space that is underused, and where other people are looking for more space for their activities. So right sizing. And the third thing is the vehicle, the cost per mile, bringing down the cost per mile for providing transportation services in the village. Thank you.
John?
I'm a firm believer in zero-based budgeting. So I don't have 3 items. I have all items. All items should be reviewed. And Allison, I disagree with you need to go after the large items as well. But I say the devil is also in the details. And there's many of the smaller, many smaller items that can have a lot of waste in it because it's so small, it's not visible. So I would zero-based budget, and there's devil. How did I get zero already?
Sorry, I was starting.
I was going to say bye. Zero-based budgeting, devil in the details, and maximize the facilities. Allison, I agree with you with that. We need to maximize what we have. Is it being most efficiently used? Is it being most cost-effectively used? And is it bringing the most pleasure and benefit to the residents? Zero-based budgeting.
Thank you.
I jotted down notes very quickly, and I said shared costs, transportation, unused facilities, vendors, long-term contracts, and outside services. Then long-term contracts are different than outside services. Outside services is, we seem to have no control mechanism for that. We've got this aging thing, they just call an outside service company. And I think sometimes our VMS staff has said, we can be doing that. And having served on hearings, I see the invoices, and our invoices for the same work done by an electrical or a plumbing fix by VMS that we'd pay, or the residents pay if they have to reimburse us, is far less than when we're using the outside services. So I think there's a habit of picking up the phone and calling outside services to do some things.
Thank you, Nancy. The next question is going to be this. The housing mutuals have routinely done town halls, and the GRF, generally speaking, has not. How do you feel about GRF doing more town halls on large issues that affect a large number of people within the village? And we'll start with Carmen on that.
I am a proponent of town halls. GRF should have a town hall because the number one complaint that we get from customers, from our residents, is nobody listens to us. And we don't know what's happening with GRF. We don't know where our money's going. We hear that all the time. I belong to a group that conducts village-wide town halls for information for residents. And we get a pretty good turnout. We've done 2 of them this year. And it's very interesting to listen to the customers. They have great suggestions. Sometimes it gets a little heated, but you have to listen. And the only way you can listen is to be in front of your customers. One way or another, either have them in here or at town halls. But I'm a proponent of town halls. GRF should have town halls.
Thank you, Carmen. Allison?
Yep. Yep, we should have town halls. When I was president of United, we had them every single month. So, yeah, we should have town halls. Agreed.
Yeah, John?
The bottom line, yes, I agree with GRF, town halls. One of the issues I see that's a rampant issue within the Laguna Woods Village is communication. Is communication between mutuals, between the boards and the membership? You know, we get information in the Globe, but there should be, I say there should be a page on the website for each mutual to have an opportunity to say, a letter from the president of what we're doing this week or this month, or what projections we have for the future, so that the residents have a common place to go to find out who's doing what when. Communication is a big one in my mind. So I don't know why we don't have it. We need an opportunity for the residents to have multiple avenues of resources to understand and know what the governing bodies are doing. One is with town hall meetings, one is with information on the website, but it needs to be easy to access and regular.
Thank you, John. Nancy?
Simple answer is yes. The assessments are going up. The more that they go up, the more people want to have an understanding of why. And granted, that may be at the mutual level, but the mutuals get people coming in and asking GRF questions. You know, we have issues that are coming up that cost money because we're 60 years old, and we just need to be in communication with the residents about it and hear what they say. We're relying on, well, what do you think? Well, what do you think? Or someone has the strength to come to a meeting, complain about something. Well, there could be a lot of other people who take an opposite view, but we only hear the ones that walk up to the podium. So a town hall is a very productive mechanism.
Thank you, Nancy. Manahar, go ahead.
Yeah, in one word, yes. I agree with all my fellow board candidates, but also I agree with John. We need to communicate with this website. We have a website. Why don't we use it? We should have one page for each board, like the United, Third, and the GRF, and let each president put in one page thing of what's new or what's going on, so that everyone can know. We don't have to use the Globe or expensive U.S. mail or email to do that. I think that's a very good idea. So we should use our website and the town halls, of course, as necessary, whatever is more effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Manahar. Okay, what we're going to do now is move on to closing statements. And you have 2 minutes to give us a summary of your aspirations with respect to the GRF board. So we'll start in the opposite order that we started the whole thing with. We start with Allison and let John have 10 whole minutes to think about his answer. Allison, please.
What's your question? My question is, what club or activities have you done in the village? What clubs do you belong to, or what are your activities in the village? You're going to be on GRF, which handles those things. I want to know if you have been involved in a club or an activity. Thank you.
We really do have to wrap it up, Maggie, but Maggie has a vote. So what do you think, Michaela?
Why don't we give each one?
Yeah,
that's a
there's
good
time,
point.
there's
Good
time
point,
for
good
one more
point.
question. There is time for one more question.
Okay.
Pardon?
There's time for one more question, and then we can get to closing statements.
Okay, well, you all heard what Maggie said, so we'll start with Allison. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, Well, as far as using the community's amenities, I use the swimming pools, I use the walking trails, clubs. I belong to garden club, to political club of my choice, and I drop in a lot of things. Now, I have not gotten terribly involved lately because I did not want to be in conflict with the work that I do for GRF and be seen to favor something that I personally like. So that's my story.
Thank you. Carmen?
Yes, I volunteer at the wood shop as a supervisor, so I guess that's considered an activity. I am the president of the Jazz Lovers of Laguna Woods. I am the president of the All Musicians Club in the village. I'm the president of the Village Music Club in the village. And also participate in the photographic workshop from time to time. And I think that's about it.
Thank you. Manahar?
Yes, I take part in many activities such as golf, swimming, bridge, and of course walking. And in addition, we also belong to a club which is off-site called Lifetime. We are a member with the help of AARP. They pay our dues, but it's a very good club. In addition, we belong to the various clubs such as India Club, the Bridge Builders Club, the Democratic Club, Concerned Citizen Club. I think those are the main. And plus we try to attend all the functions we have here, like we had the Unity function, we have one function coming up in November, and so forth. Thank you.
Okay, Nancy?
Right, I can't participate in sports anymore, or even swimming, so, that's hard. So walking is it from me personally, but in terms of clubs, over the years, I enjoy the Good Government Club, the equestrian. I've been a lifelong equestrian, and I enjoy all the the hosted activities in the village. There's always something going on that you can go and see, whether it's a movie or something at the PAC, so on and so forth. Clubhouse 4, I've taken innumerable classes over there that, relative to Clubhouse 4, from the Needle Arts to the Camera Club, and support those groups. And in the Writers Club, I was an officer, and I'm not presently. And basically, working on the mutuals is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time, and with all the committee assignments there too. So to me, that feels like I'm participating in my community and making social connections and learn about all the other activities that I may not be participating in. For example, golf.
Thank you very much. John?
Okay, my participation has been in enjoying the gym, enjoying the pools. I've been on the Theater Guild board, and I've been in many of the plays. Archery Club, I'm on the Disaster Preparedness Task Force Coordinator for Part 3, and Baby Boomers.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now go ahead and start with the summations. Again, there are 2 minutes each, and as we were going to start before, we'll start with Allison. And we'll work clockwise, sorry.
All right, in closing, I can give you a summary of what GRF Board as a team has accomplished so far this year. We're a working board of capable, respectful volunteers. Everybody brings their talent to the table. Meetings are well-run and productive. A massive, needed, vital fiber infrastructure program project is advancing daily after many years of work by many people. The tough 2026 business plan managed to keep the increase in monthly assessment for GRF expenses to 10%, which is half of the legally permissible rise. We've done deep dive studies and research into solar energy alternatives, charging stations, process automation, new revenue sources, property reuse, and vehicle audits. Those are underway. Some are yet to come. Some are work in project or in revision, so stand by for more information on those. The management services agreement with VMS has been revised and is in the review process. GRF United and Third shared success in the Unity Festival, a template for village cooperation. In summary, I'd like to keep at it. I'd like to keep doing it. I do the homework and the preparation. I show up. I show up on time and prepared. I allocate the time and energy that it takes to serve. And now I respectfully ask for your vote in this important election. Thank you.
Thank you. Allison Carmen.
Thank you. My wife Dorothy and I moved into the village 8 years ago, almost to this day. It was October 25th, 2017. It was also our 14th wedding anniversary and also the hottest day of the year as we downsized from our home in Costa Mesa to Laguna Woods Village. 2 major events on the same day, and we haven't regretted the decision to move here. The village has provided us with so many opportunities to live productive and enjoyable lives. I've lived in Orange County all of my adult life. I've raised family here in the Orange County and attended Saddleback and other OC colleges. So why volunteer as a board member for the community? It's simple, to give back to the community that continues to give us so much joy. But more importantly is to provide a fiduciary and fiscal responsibility to the community. The village is no different than running a business. Control budgets, seek innovations with the latest technologies, and meet or exceed the expectations of our residents, and at the same time adhere to the GRF trust and bylaws. It's a huge task, but with the excellent teamwork and talent of dedicated board and committee members, makes it worth the effort to keep the village running in good order. My background in owning and operating small and medium-sized companies, as well as managing larger sales and marketing firms, provides the experience needed to build the teamwork to solve complex problems. Teamwork and consensus building, as well as leveraging emerging technologies and government subsidy, is the only way to succeed in business. If elected, I plan to work with all directors, committee members, mutuals, and residents to keep the village running on budget. It takes a village to run a village, but it takes dedicated board members to make that happen. And I will be that dedicated board member. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Manahar.
As I said earlier, I have worked with 2 HOA boards in Michigan. And my goal again is going to be to keep the village affordable and enjoyable for all the residents. I promise to use my previous HOA experience to bring the fiducial responsibility and financial accountability to the village. So, and my main focus is going to be communication. We need to communicate with all the different boards as well as VMS. And I hope you'll give me your vote. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve on the GRF.
Thank you, Manahar. Nancy.
To recap, I think the practical elements of being a director, I understand and respect the GRF trust and GRF's duty to the corporate members and the respect for the residents' wallets. I defer to the law and council when and where appropriate. My community's welfare and interests run deep. I have demonstrated I'm loyal, dedicated, committed, collaborative, and hardworking. I come with committee and governance experience. I value process in governance. It minimizes chaos, properly vets ideas and information toward optimal groups review and decision-making. I like working with colleagues and residents. I learn from them. I prefer to attend meetings in person versus Zoom. I read the agenda packet and I come prepared. I believe I would be a productive and contributing GRF director, and I respectfully seek your vote. Thank you.
John?
In closing, I would just like to thank you for this opportunity, for your time and consideration, and I would appreciate your vote to serve on the GRF Board of Directors. We've been a member of this community for over 13 years, and I would sincerely like to give back to improve on, preserve, and maintain excuse me, all of the wonderful amenities and enjoyments of this village, including fiscal responsibility, and preserve being one of the 5 safest cities in California. I make any decisions, I will be driven by the mantra, what is best for GRF, the mutuals, and Laguna Woods Village as a whole. My wife's grandmother used to say, use your head for more than a hat rack. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them proportionately. Always seek to listen first, and after that, never let 2 fools meet. Make your dollar do the work of 5. I feel my 51 years of experience in the corporate world, private industry, nonprofits, including a nonprofit I started in honor of my son, Lieutenant Commander Navy SEAL, who was killed in 2011. The nonprofit helped vets start and grow their own businesses. These have helped me be a viable candidate to contribute to and work together as a team for the betterment of the GRF Board and Laguna Woods Village. Thank you for your time and consideration. All the best.
Thank you very much, John. Michaela, would you please read Jeannie Costello's closing remarks?
Yes, happy to. She stated, my commitment to you, I'm of the opinion that life here in Laguna Woods Village is great and it can only get better. I'm not alone. 85% of the respondents to a recent mutual survey agree with that statement. They responded that they're satisfied or very satisfied with living here. However, we have internal and external challenges that come with living in our 60-year-old community, and we need leaders with both common sense and a creative problem-solving approach in dealing with them. As a GRF director, I view my role as such. Ross Cortese's vision made Laguna Woods an accessible state-of-the-art active retirement option for the residents back in the mid-1960s. The world may have changed over the past 60 years, but his direction and charge to us has not, to keep Laguna Woods Village pushing forward and relevant to the next generation of people looking for that same active retirement community we have found such a great value in. I humbly ask for your support in this endeavor, and I thank you for your vote.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to the candidates for all of your effort in preparing here, and we certainly have a very, very good slate of candidates, and so I'm going to leave the closing remarks to Andy.
Okay, this is not the end of the process, but the beginning of the process, and we hope the corporate members have gotten more information to add to their insight into how they're going to vote on November 12th. So I don't know what's going to happen between then, but please join us again back on November 12th, where we'll see the conclusion of this today. Again, candidates, thank you for your time and effort. And with that, I believe we are adjourned.